Hi everyone, I'm Captain Reserves Maya Bentwich. Today is December 17th, 2024, and this is the live daily briefing of the Israeli Citizen Spokesperson's Office. Please start submitting questions in the chat and I'll answer some at the end. Yesterday, a few minutes after our daily briefing ended, sirens sounded across central Israel. The Houthi terrorist army in Yemen, one of Iran's proxy armies, fired long-range missiles to central Israel. The Israeli Air Force intercepted the missile, but there was concern that shrapnel from the interception could still fall on our heads. Everyone in our office ran to the shelter and waited for the all clear before we went back to work. 14 months ago, the Iranian regime and its proxies began attacking Israel on 7 different fronts: Hamas in Gaza, terrorists in the West Bank, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, Iranians in Syria, Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, and the Iranian regime itself. Now, after 14 months, the Iranian regime is in a much weaker position, but it refuses to end its war. Hamas continues to hold 100 Israeli hostages as we're speaking. Hezbollah remains armed in Lebanon. The Houthi terror pirates in Yemen continue to launch missiles and drones at Israel. The Iranian proxy militias in Iraq are still operating. In Syria, Iran has lost its ally, Bashar al-Assad, and it remains to be seen if Iran will be able to have any role in Syria at all. Now, Israel is waiting to see what kind of position the new Syrian government will take. I truly hope it chooses the path of peace, but we must be ready for any scenario. I want to tell you about another front that you probably haven't heard much about. It may sound crazy, but Hamas wants to expand the war that it started with October 7th massacre. Hamas is trying to spark a Palestinian civil war in the West Bank. Hamas and its partner, Islamic Jihad, are using the same human sacrifice strategy in the West Bank that they used in Gaza. These terrorists are operating from densely populated urban area in the city of Jenin and putting everyone in danger. The Palestinian government in the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority, is fighting back. Hamas has called on an all-movement factions tribal gathering and human rights organization to mobilize on its behalf. We should be worried. Hamas is popular in the West Bank. Hamas's goal is to be the undisputed leader of the Palestinian people. Hamas is a ticking time bomb, and it will continue to threaten Israelis and Palestinians until it is eliminated. The Israeli military is finding massive amounts of weapons in southern Lebanon. The ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah says that Hezbollah must disarm. Hezbollah has not disarmed. Hezbollah is violating the ceasefire deal. Now, as long as Hezbollah refuses to disarm, and as long as the Lebanese government refuses to disarm it, the IDF will maintain freedom of action in southern Lebanon. In recent days, the IDF in Lebanon has located rocket launchers, anti-tank missiles, and mortar shells. These are the kinds of weapons that Hezbollah fired every day at the people of Israel for the past year. The state of Israel can never again allow a terrorist army to mobilize on its borders. At the end of this war, we need peace, not a piece of paper. The government of Lebanon should make peace with Israel, disarm Hezbollah, and build a better future for the next generation. Israel's biggest concern right now is not Iran's proxy armies, it's the Iranian regime itself. It has been weakened, but it still wants to destroy Israel. And it is still enriching uranium that could be used to build a nuclear bomb. Israel cannot allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon capability. We need maximum pressure on the Iranian regime until it gives up its military nuclear programs and chooses to live in peace with its neighbors and with its own people. Now, let's take some questions from our audience on social media.
Thank you, Maya. Our first question comes from Raz on Instagram. What is the current situation in Gaza? Does Hamas remain a threat?
Well, that is an excellent question, Raz. Hamas is still a threat, as I think we're all aware, and that is one of the reasons that the IDF is still operating inside Gaza. I do want to mention that the IDF has been able to take down Hamas's leaders and is working towards one of the main goals during this war, to dismantle Hamas. But Hamas is still existing and, as I just mentioned, still holds 100 innocent civilians hostage in Gaza under horrible conditions.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Shlomo. Are there concerns that releasing Palestinian prisoners in exchange for hostages could embolden Hamas and encourage further kidnappings?
Well, the simple answer is yes, there is concerns, and that is a great question. There is concerns. Let me just give you an example. In the Gilad Shalit, an Israeli hostage who was held in captivity, in his deal for his release, 1,000 terrorists who were prisoners were released. Now, amongst these 1,000 terrorists was Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas. So we can do the math and understand just how scary or frightening this might be. We don't know where these terrorists will go. If they'll go back to Gaza, if and when they're released, if they'll go back to the West Bank, if they'll go back to Turkey, to Qatar, and what this will mean. On the other hand, like I just said, we have 100 hostages being held in Gaza. And so there's a lot at stake and a lot of concerns either way.
Our next question is from Sarah. We saw 100,000 people rally in support of Israel last week in London. Is there anything we can do more specifically to help Israel from the diaspora?
Well, Sarah, first of all, thank you, and sending you love from Israel to wherever you are in the diaspora, and thank you for your question. I think there is a lot of things that we can do, and I don't want to tell you anything specific. If there is one thing which I can encourage you and anyone watching is to speak up and stand up. The reason that I did my reserve service in the OTEF to speak for the truth, the reason that I'm standing here in front of you today and do what I do on a daily basis is because I believe we need to fight the misinformation. We need to fight the anti-Semitism on the rise, and we have to continue telling the truth. So on whatever way, whatever platform that you have, please speak up and stand up.
Thank you. This is our final question. What message have you found to be most meaningful throughout your advocacy?
A great last question. I would say, when I was back in the OTEF in my reserve service, one of the things that led me and continue to lead me to this day is the fact that if you're a human being on this planet, you should be concerned about what happened on October 7th. You should be concerned about what's happening right now. You should be concerned about the rising anti-Semitism and the misinformation. So whoever you are in the world, and whether you're Israeli, Jewish, not Israeli, non-Jewish, this should concern you, because this matter is a matter of humanity, of human beings. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again tomorrow.